Hi there, I'm Ed,
I'm Dan.
and welcome to Unsolicited, the show where we take a piece of advice columnist. We take an
Columnist?
advice column from the past
Yes.
and we rate the question, we rate the advice,
And
and
then
then
we
we
will
offer
give the worst advice
the
possible.
worst, the worst possible advice, the worst advice we can think of. This is the second episode. We are trying to slam through them, so we're hoping that we can tighten this up a little bit with time. But right now, bear with us because we're noobs to this format. So I'm going to read. Um, this is Dear Prudence. This is May 29th, 2013. I am reading this cold. I have no idea what this is. This is called Falsely Accused of Homophobia. I have not read this before. We are randomly picking as best we can. Okay, question. Homophobia miscommunication. I went on a date with a woman who lives in my building. It was going well. But towards the end, a couple sat behind her and started making out. They were literally sucking each other's faces, and I saw more of their tongues than I would have liked to have seen. After a few minutes, I suggested to my date we go elsewhere and rolled my eyes in the direction of the couple. She turned around and saw the two guys making out. We left shortly afterward, and she said she had to go home and finish some work. I called her a couple times afterward, but she didn't respond, so I got the hint and let it go. To be honest, it really bummed me out, as I like her a lot. Then I saw her and her friend talking downstairs. She couldn't see me. She was telling her friend she liked me until she found out I was homophobic. Should I bother explaining to her that I would have been just as put off by a straight couple slobbering on each other in the middle of a cafe, or just forget about it?
All right. All right.
I don't hate that question.
Yeah. No, I don't hate that question at all. I think that's a pretty good question for this
Touch,
dude, even though I'm going to give it a 6 because I think
six, eh?
he's actually asking for
Yeah, I think
advice.
he wants advice. I'm going with a I'm going with a I'm going with a I'm going to give it an 8 actually because
Okay.
it's a good question in many ways because it is like a it's like a touchy situation. He's like, I think he's sincere. I think he's really looking for advice, and I also think it's advice that other people could like benefit from the answer if it's a good
Mhm.
answer. Of
And
course, we're
it's not
gonna.
too time sensitive where it's like, well, obviously you're writing it in. You don't know if it's, that she's even going to print your question.
So we're at a 7 and 8. This is a 15. This is
All
this is
right.
this has got some potential right here. All
All
right.
right.
Answer. Oh no, I already see a word that I don't know how to pronounce. All right. The entire Jane Austen oeuvre. Is it oeuvre? 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 I don't know what that means. Can you look
I
that
think
up for me, Dan?
we'll look it up and we'll put in a great sound
Oh,
effect of someone
yeah.
saying
Okay,
it.
so the entire Jane Austen oeuvre wouldn't exist without such misunderstandings of character that fortunately get clarified in the end. Yours is a modern retelling of one of her tales, and I hope, Mr. Darcy, that you can convince Miss Bennet that her assumption about your prejudice is wrong. You have the advantage of knowing exactly why she abruptly rejected you, but your dilemma is that you don't want to appear to have been monitoring her communications when you try to explain this. I suggest you turn to an old form, the letter. After all, you know where she lives. Without giving away what you overheard, put a note in her mailbox which says that you enjoyed her company very much and have been distressed by the abrupt apparent conclusion of your budding acquaintance. Say that you've thought a lot about what might have caused this, and you think perhaps it was misreading of your misunderstanding of your discomfort with the couple seated behind you during your date. Explain that she couldn't see them going at it, but you could, and your desire nothing to do with the gender of the pair, but with the dramatic tongue swordsmanship you were witnessing. Good turn of phrase. Say that you enjoy getting together, that you would enjoy getting together again, but if you get no response from her, you will leave her alone and simply nod pleasantly if you run into each other in the lobby. I hope in this case, life imitates art and your romance comes to a satisfying conclusion.
Huh.
I I'm gonna go I'm gonna go with a 4.
I was thinking I don't really like her response. At first I started to
Oh,
like it, and then it just went on.
it's it's a bit specific. Like
Yeah.
it's
Like
like
I'll just nod to you and I'll leave it alone.
it's well it tells it's like she basically is like I would it's like what I would do. I would
I
write
would
a
do.
letter and I would do this
I do
because you're a
this.
writer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like you should write a letter, but really like yeah, maybe just talk to her and say, "Hey, I overheard you in the hall." Be honest, like Be honest. Hey, I overheard you in the hallway. I don't care about gay people. I just don't want anybody playing tonsil hockey or tongue swordsmanship or whatever they're talking about. I just felt like that was a little bit much for me. Like it doesn't matter what sex they are. They could, it doesn't really matter.
Would it happen in a restaurant in 2021?
No, not
With
no.
the masks.
It's not what they have masks on. But yeah, no, I don't like the advice because I think it's spot on in that she's just like saying, hey, you should write a letter, and this is exactly what you should say in the letter. Copy this letter and send it to this person, and then you're gonna get busy. I think he should just talk to her and say, hey, I overheard you in the hallway. I wasn't listening in, but I overheard you, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm not homophobic. I don't care about that. That's not my bag. I like homosexual people. And I want to get busy with you.
Well,
what was your number? What do you rate it? I gave her a 4. I gave it a good question, bad answer.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a 5. I was thinking 5.
All right.
Was it bad?
Nice and generous. So we are now at a 24. That's a 15 for the first round, 15 for the question, 9 for the answer, 24. So Dan.
Yes.
What's the worst advice you could give in this situation?
Well, buddy, I think first off, he's got to go hook up with the dude.
Good. Yep.
He needs to do everything and just make sure that maybe it's not just the tongue slapping that was making him uncomfortable. And
maybe mail her a video. Maybe star in a gay pornography video and mail it to her. So she's like, oh, this guy. See, like, hey, like put it in an envelope that says, like, see, I'm not homophobic. It's pretty bad advice. Yes. Pretty bad advice. Wow, that's phenomenally bad advice. Let me think about some bad advice. Okay, so I think what he should do, I think he should try to recreate the exact situation again. He should hire some people to make out a bunch of homosexual couples to make out in a cafe where she's going to be, and he can then walk in and like high five everybody that's making out and like, hey, nice to see you, and like pretend he knows everybody. That way she can see he's not
kind of like a Cheers Norm moment.
Yeah, like he's like he just show how cool he is by setting up a really elaborate makeout session in a place that she's going to be. Right. I gotta say, I think your advice is worse.
I think so.
It was kind of the first place my mind went was like star in a gay porno and send it to her, right? So you hit it right away. So I feel like that was my first instinct of like, that's the bad advice. Because after our first episode, Dan told me I can't just kill people. Because pretty much that's always the worst advice. Like, kill her. Like, we can't. That's not going to work with this thing. We got to be on theme. So I think that you gave the worst advice. Absolutely, in this situation, do not star in a gay pornographic film and mail it to the object of your affection. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yet again for Unsolicited.
Yes.
I'm Ed.
I'm Dan.
We'll see you next time.